welcome back for The Last of Us, episode 8. This episode kicked ass, finally. Back to form, since, the disappointment of episode 7 and how lackluster it was. Finally get another great episode, and I would even say that this might be the best episode in the entire show so far. It's up there with episode 5. I'm still deciding which is better, but this is really good. It has, everything. There are a few, tweaks and problems that don't don't make it maybe as good as episode 5, but it's still really good, right? The acting is phenomenal in this episode. All the sets are great. It feels like the directors really took our actors out to like actual set locations instead of like being in front of like green screens or a place, a Hollywood stage, somewhere in Hollywood. All the dialogue is great as well in this episode. Tons of brutality in this episode. Just crazy shit. Crazy. Now I'm not gonna again. I don't want to do a whole super deep dive into this episode. I'm gonna save that for my episode 9 review. I'm gonna do like a huge blowout video talking about the entirety of that episode and just the entirety of the season as a whole. And we're really gonna just wait to see if they're gonna fumble, right? If they're gonna drop the ball. That's what we're really waiting for. This episode, the whole series, has been really good so far, with a few like missteps in between, maybe some episodes or some character dialogue that's not quite right. But overall, I would say here, episode 8 right now, this is a quality show. It's not better than the game though. Yes, it's not better than the game, but it's still really good. It's just not great, but it's really good. Now, in this episode, we finally get into the cannibal arc. Lots of great scenes between our characters, and actually, in this episode, they're literally directly pulling from the game these scenes that are just one for one. Now, the dialogue is tweaked a little bit in between some of these scenes, but overall everything's like almost exactly the same. Even the way like the characters act, like our main character David here, and like his creepiness factor is just off the fucking charts, and the actor does a really good job doing it. Now, if my problems with episode 8, now that we're like one episode off from the final, is that maybe one of my main issues is that we don't have too many interactions between just Ellie and Joel, right? Now, that's a problem, and I know, I understand why they did it. Because the series isn't as long, right? And The Last of Us is a lengthy game, right? It's like a 50 to 70 hour game. So they've been condensing a lot of that stuff. And part of that condensing is also condensing the action scenes. How we haven't seen too many clickers or infected really in the show at all. Really, episode 2 and episode 5. And yeah, that's about it for like our infected. We only see like one at a time, and then there are very few action scenes. But the action scenes that we do get, like in this episode, it's just absolutely brutal and super intense, and it's what's the word for it? I would call it super. It's engaging, incredibly engaging. Like I want to keep watching what happens. And it's an incredible episode. Again, just emotional feeling between our characters and what's happening. Incredibly emotional. Joel goes fuck. He's like a psychopath in this episode. The way we see him like go at it, really showing us the lengths he'll go through just to like get Ellie back, and how he's basically his daughter at this point. But I would have liked to see more scenes between the two so we can get a better feeling of their bond, because the show has been like skipping parts of those interactions, and I would say that's a downsize of like what they should be doing. Like how like the game, if you play the game, you'll just get like random scenes in between missions where you fight maybe a few infected. You gotta sneak around like an obstacle. You fight an infected, get some ammo, get some other things. You fight another infected, fight another clicker. The show hasn't done that. They've just really haven't been using the infected in as a premise for the show. And understand that like technically it is a character drama, but we still, a lot of people here are still there for like, the zombies, right? We want to see them in totality. So I hope in the next episode we'll get at least a little bit more action. I know there's going to be, right? But like, how are they going to present it? Is it going to be done generally well? Are they going to literally take from are they going to take those scenes again from the game? What are they going to change? Is it are they going to fuck it up? Yikes, worries, right? Anyway, yeah. So Joel goes like mad shit in this episode, and also I want to say Bella Ramsey's acting in this episode. There's before when the show began, I was quite critical of her and her acting as I should be, because in those roles it wasn't wasn't particularly clear that she could like pull this sort of acting off or this character. But after really watching this episode and episode 6 too, honestly, there's no doubt in my mind that she's redeemed herself. She can do those really great, hard hitting, emotional scenes. Especially in this episode where she just goes buck wild and murders David. I haven't really gone over the summary of the plot anyway. I've sort of hinted at it last episode. She just goes fucking nuts in this episode. Oh, it's so good. It's so fucking good. Um, the plot of the episode is just that Ellie encounters the group from episode 6 where Joel got stabbed. She encounters them. And actually, in this scene, this another like misstep where they could have done it. It was sort of random in the game, but when Ellie and David are like talking to each other in the little shack, there's supposed to be like a fight scene. We're like right here in this shack here. There's supposed to be a fight scene with like like 50 clickers or some shit. They just I know they come out of nowhere, but there may be a missed opportunity to because in the game it was supposed to be the Ellie uses or David uses that chance, fighting with Ellie, all these clickers to gain her trust, and then Ellie lets her guard down. Here, she just has like a conversation with him. It happens in the game, but they skip the clicker fight, right? So she lets her guard down of her own volition here, just talking to him, but in the same essence, she can like understand that there's like a veneer of evil within like the words he's saying, and these people are cannibals, right? They do bad things. David specifically is like the leader of their group, where he's controlling everyone. He's the arbiter of everything that's happening. And everyone's just sort of going along with him. And maybe at one point in time you get the feeling that they were a nice community, but the winter's been so hard on them that they have no choice but to eat dead people, and it's quite heartbreaking in a lot of circumstances. Some people, even in the community that they foster, know about it. Some don't. It's obviously it's a real huge problem. Anyway, David gets his comeuppance and dies at the end. He tries to rape and murder Ellie. So he gets his karma thrown back right at him. Don't worry, my man here is dead. Also, Troy Baker is in a nice little cameo in this episode. There he is. Troy! Hello, Troy. How are you? I was so surprised when I saw him. Like, what the fuck? Troy Baker? Literally acting in The Last of Us, but you're not Joel? It's crazy. I know maybe a lot of people might, like, wanted, before the show came out, wanted Troy Baker to be Joel, but he doesn't have the build of Joel, unfortunately. Pedro does, and Pedro's been doing like a really good job just acting as Joel in this series. He's really hitting the mark in this episode too. His brutality, especially, he's hitting that right on the nail, expertly. I don't know. The Troy cameo is kind of funny, seeing Troy Baker. Not voice acting, but acting. Not a lot of voice actors do that, right? Not a lot of voice actors actually go into the actual sets and act. They just voice act, but that's okay. Anyway, the plot is just Ellie, she injects Joel with some penicillin she gets from David, helps Joel. These guys come back after her. She gets captured by them. Joel wakes up, finds that Ellie's gone. Well, Ellie goes in there and tells him that they're coming. I'm going to lead them away. Joel wakes up, kills a bunch of them, brutally massacres a bunch of them just to try to get to Ellie. It's pretty crazy what happens this episode. I loved all of it. Crazy, intense, depressing scenes of our characters and what they're doing. They really hit the nail on this episode. It is amazing. I love this episode so much. Yeah, we can. There are a lot of I want to say parallels between like other episodes in the series for this one, where characters are finally starting to come full circle as we've come to know them throughout the whole series, and now they've been feeling they've all felt real. I don't want to say that, but again they're coming full circle now. We're finally starting to complete the character arcs since this is the last stop between where they finally find the Fireflies and the events that occur there and what happens. All of the scenes that are gonna that happened before are gonna directly come back to effectively assert the themes that are gonna happen in that episode. Unless they change some things, I know people are. I'm worried myself. Again, they might change some things. Um, Things that might curtail to The Last of Us Part 2. And we know we're getting another season after this now. That's definitely been confirmed that they're definitely doing another season. And why wouldn't they? This show's been getting really good reception after its like first two episodes. So, really if they man, I don't know how I'm more worried about the actual Last of Us 2 show than the ending of this actually cuz I don't think Neil's going to take the time to change all the shit that happened in that game. Man, it's really just disappointing and horrible in a lot of ways. I don't know how they're going to do it. Um I think I'll leave it off from there. This is just a really great episode. Amazing. The sets, the acting, really intense emotional scenes between our characters. Lots of death. I wish there were more infected. There maybe could have been. Maybe we just could have left out episode 7 for a different kind of episode. Like maybe fillerish, where Joel and Ellie are just walking around talking, and they get like ambushed by clickers or infected or whatever, and they got to find a way around it before they go into the winter season to do whatever they're doing here. It's also in the game, just like for comparison's sake. In the game, Ellie. It's been before it becomes before they meet. They meet Tommy, and then Joel gets injured, and then it's the time skip where it goes into winter. Not like how it became winter here in episode 6 after the death of Henry and Sam. But it was implied that Elliot was taking care of Joel for like a long time, but here it's been like a week, and then as soon as like she stabs him with the penicillin, he just sort of gets up and is fine. Like, I'm not sure that's actually possible. Literally a few hours after she does that, even though she herself doesn't really know where to put the needle. I'd like to maybe know like a doctor's opinion about the medical practices of what Ellie did, just stabbing Joel in the infected area with penicillin. She doesn't know how much she's actually using or where to really put it. Like, it could cause like technical problems with someone's body. Might kill them by accident. I don't know. I'm just saying, maybe a doctor would cringe at that scene. I'm speculating really. Um, there are missteps, but overall, this episode really good with the dialogue, really good with the one for one scenes. It's amazing, pretty amazing. All the sets are great, acting's great, music's great. What have they been missing from the show? You know what they've been? There are no shivs in the show. Remember the scissor shivs? No one's like making a med kit. Like just no one pulls out cloth and just starts making a med kit right when they need it, right? No one's throwing any bricks or bottles. Maybe they just don't need it, I guess. That's might be a little harder to translate into like the show, honestly. I don't know. Anyway, I'll stop rambling. Really liked this episode. Pretty crisp, pretty clean, really tense in a lot of scenes, especially when Joel goes full psychopath. Same with Ellie. She just in the effort to defend herself, just loses it and goes fucking nuts. And Bella Ramsey's acting is really good. So we have a lot of really great scenes in this episode. All right, I'm hoping the next one's coming soon. I'm gonna get this out before the night, hopefully Sunday, so I can I can get that other video up uh, relatively quickly. I'm gonna do a super long length video on that, super in depth, hopefully, and we're just gonna go through it all. Hopefully it's good. We'll find out, guys. We'll find out. I'm praying it's good. Okay, guys, I'm done rambling. Hope you guys have a nice day. See ya.